Hi, Romans here, and in this video I'm gonna tell you about how I wrote the music for Fanhaters. I wrote a song originally in 2011 and I recorded it in 2012 as one of the 4 tracks on my 2012 demo, the other songs being Living in Fear and We're Building Our Monument from the debut album and a track called What I Am Made Of, the main riff of which I reused in A Way to Oppose. The song had originally a different lyric which I'm gonna talk about in the next video. So in 2019 I revisited this track when I started considering it for Pursuits in Life 2. There were a few things that I added. After the second chorus and after some of these instrumental sections, there is this part where I sing really high, and that section was added from a song that I wrote in 2012. There was this kind of a hard rock and roll song. I kind of even forgotten about it, but this section I always remembered. It was just something very melodic, very catchy, very over the top, and I decided to reuse it in this track. Originally that part was even 1 tone higher. Considering the key in which Fanhaters is, I had to put it down, and as I was doing this I also came up with those galloping rhythms that you can hear. So that's basically a new section or new sections that I wrote in 2019, in like late 2019. So as per usual, there are quite a few stories and quite a few things that you can learn from how I wrote this song. Let's start. How instrumentation changes the genre. When you write a melody, it's really about how you arrange the song, how you build the instrumentation around it that determines the style of the music. You can take a certain melody which can work perfectly within the country genre, techno music. It can even be a great thrash metal song. When I wrote Fanhaters originally and recorded the demo in 2012, it was basically a very traditional recording in terms of the instrumentation. There were 2 guitars, drums, bass and vocals, and stylistically it was kind of like early 90s hard rock song with a little bit of that prog metal flavor. When I recorded this track for my second album, the instrumentation right now is drums, bass, saxophone and keyboards, which completely changes the genre. Now it's much more of a 70s hard rock meets funk meets 80s metal, probably best described as Deep Purple meets Queen meets Iron Maiden. Now I will play you a few samples from the original demo compared with how the song sounds now, and you can see how much of a genre change there actually is. It's almost as if this was a completely different track. How to make power chords groove. When you are writing rock songs, one of the most traditional ways how to write them is to use power chords. Basically, power chords, you have the 5th and the octave, which opens up the music quite a lot harmonically. So when you are writing the melody as you are singing, you can really go major or minor. There's a lot of freedom in it, but there's like a gazillion of songs, especially in rock and metal, that are just using this exactly. And if you record your song like this, it's gonna be very boring and I think very predictable. When I wrote Fanhaters, obviously I was using these power chords and it kind of sounded like this. And when I recorded the demo back in 2012, it was kind of recorded like this. The guitar player played around with it a little more, but when it comes to my bass guitar, it was just downstrokes, eighth notes. And I'm not saying it's necessarily bad to play like that, but it's the most cliche and traditional thing you can do within a rock song like that. So when I revisited this track for my second album, where we obviously don't have the guitars, I started playing around with the bass and I try to make it a lot more rhythmical and danceable. And it has also given this like a funk edge to the song, which it originally didn't have. And right now when you listen to the song, you would never really think that, okay, this is a traditional rock song written with power chords. So whenever you write a song like that, it's the bass guitar that can make all of the difference.
So I tried to ignore these envious fools, these so-called experts who never want to see you shine. They're coming to illusion, you can't judge it all. The lack of any talent is your downfall.
How to add urgency to your music. An interesting thing that happens about my latest single Fanhaters is that you have the main riff, which we hear only at the beginning, and then the main riff is used for the chorus. There's a little bit of a change in how we play it. Generally the song is in 8/8 time signature, and in the middle of the chorus we always leave out 1/8 note, basically making that one bar into 7/8. When I sent the demo to the drummer William, who made the record with me, at first he told me like, it kind of sounds like a mistake. It's definitely something you will notice, something maybe strange, maybe different. But considering the subject matter of this track, I really think it adds certain urgency that the lyrical delivery needs.
Who's gonna hate if I were you everywhere, or with heavy suffer?
Are you a show-off? I think that both in art and sport, if you're really good at something, people tend to show off. Now my question to you is, do you like it? Do you think it's okay? For me as a singer, obviously I have almost like 3.5 octaves vocal range and I can hit very high notes, which to be honest isn't that unique in rock and metal music because most of the singers kind of do that. As a singer for my own music, I try to be there for the track. So I don't use the tracks to show off, I use my voice to carry the song. But on the other hand, whenever there's an opportunity to sneak in some high note or some high section, I always go for it. I did that a few times on the first album. I did that obviously on the second album as well. And there is this section in my latest single Fanhaters when I really go for it. I sing very high, but I think that it still kind of makes sense within the track. So now you'll be able to listen to it, so let me know how you like it and whether you think showing off, if done delicately, is okay in art. How important is phrasing when you sing? I had a singing session with Einar Solberg from Lepers, who is definitely one of the most appreciated singer in like last 10 years. And we were singing one of the biggest hits from Lepers, the song Alleviate. All I could do in the end. But of course we were more interested in that chorus at the end where he goes really high. All I could do. And he was like, no, there's a different lyric. Because it's been a while since I listened to and practiced that song at that point. And he was like, no, there's different lyrics. I changed it. Oh, I could do. And he went on to explain that he changed it because landing that high note, which is F, on A vowel, is much easier than on U, which would have been the original lyric. And I thought to myself, that's a really cool songwriting tip. And a couple months later, I was practicing the song Fanhaters, being basically just a few days before recording the final version. And as I was practicing it, admiring everything I touch, and I was kind of struggling with that part a little bit because there's actually F sharp, and I was landing it on the E sound, and E and U are both very narrow vowels, so they're kind of hard for sustaining very high notes. I just thought to myself, it doesn't really sound that good, that something's not right with it. And that's when I remembered the singing session that I had with Einar, and I was like, is there a way I can rearrange it a little bit so that I land that high note on A, making it easier for me to sing? So I thought about it a little bit, and I went from admiring everything I say to admiring everything I touch. As suddenly it not only sounded better, but was also much easier to do if we were ever to perform the song live. So here you can see how much phrasing influences the fluency and the ease of the track. Because you may be a great singer, if you want to hold those very high notes, and these broad vowels are much easier for that. And if you listen to rock and metal music, I think vast majority of the high notes are exactly on these vowels.